Hello, everyone. If there is anyone out there, I'm struggling to see whether or not that intro just worked. It didn't just play on my screen, so you're going to need to help me out. If you're watching, then get in the comments and tell me whether or not you can hear me okay, or whether or not that's working. Whether or not that just played you some music or an intro or anything. I don't know why, but I'm just having a few tech issues this side. So hopefully it'll resolve imminently, or that actually everything's fine. Thanks, Sarah. She's let me know that she can hear okay. So I don't know what's going on there then. But yeah, it's just made me log back into everything. So we're running a couple of minutes late. But anyway, we're here. Sounds like you can hear okay. You don't want to hear the blaring intro anyway if that didn't work. I'm Jack Chew. This is Tune It Over. Mondays and now Thursdays, 12:30 to 1 o'clock. We discuss whatever's topical. And of course, only one thing's topical right now. Fast approaching June. So everything is on. Only thing that's on people's minds, on the tip of their tongue, is Therapy Live, of course, and especially on the announcements of all the agendas and all the speakers and stuff. We've just announced all the streams, and so yeah, chins are a wagging, and lots of people very interested in the fact that we have a stream called Hands on Healthcare, and the reason for that is because over the last few years, you will have noticed that we have been partnered with the school, which is the leading massage school in the country and the ultimate place in which you want to educate yourself in contemporary hands-on care, contemporary therapeutic touch. And it is run by Anna Maria Mazzieri, who joins me today to discuss this stream that she has curated and put together, because I think we needed to freshen up some of the construction. I think that me and Jim very rehab centric, but sometimes we miss some of those advances in adjuncts and some of the more common modern arguments for integrating sensible use of touch and other modalities. So Anna has been involved in bringing this together, and we've been blown away by its quality. So she's going to talk us through what she's got in store for us, and hopefully, at the click of a couple of buttons, join me today. Anna, you there?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
So here's something wrong with my system then.
Oh,
Anna, if you can hear me, I can't hear you. Sorry about that.
I can hear you very well.
Can
people hear me?
Right. So, guys, can you hear me? And could you hear Anna? Is it just my system that's playing up? Apologies. Anna. Oh, now everyone's saying that the intro worked okay. Large delay between you cutting in. Okay. Yeah, there's something wrong with my system then. Okay, right. Let me refresh this, because if I can't hear Anna, that's no good if you can. Sarah said she could hear both. Right, let me refresh this then. There's something wrong with my system. Sorry about this, guys. Anna, gives a wave. Yeah. Yeah, I can see you.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Sorry about
that. Fantastic. That would have been a tragedy, you not being able to hear me.
Absolutely.
And me only being able to hear you.
How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Really excited about Therapy Live this year.
Yes, really absolutely. Yeah. Let's start us off by, if you don't mind, talking us through your relationship with Therapy Live generally, because I want to start from how we integrated. We had a stream not dissimilar to this in some ways when it first happened. Then we thought, actually, why don't we distribute some of that across the streams, which wasn't as effective for our shared causes. And then that's why you sort of suggested this. So just talk me through that and the rationale for it.
Yeah, both me and Becky, we felt that from the second year with the Therapy Live, well, we've been involved from day one between being partners, sponsors, moderators, and avid listeners. But we felt that from the second year that manual therapy or the physical therapy streams or talks were too diluted across the other streams. And we felt that there was an opportunity missed to bring together those hands-on practitioners and clinicians to have those discussions in one forum. So that's why both me and Becky, we really were very keen and very grateful that you took on the idea to bring everything into one stream. All those thinkers, researchers, clinicians, to discuss manual therapy in a let's say, I would say in a different way, actually, in a
Okay.
different way.
Now, it was a fairly easy decision when you laid out the arguments, right? That's always the case. You've always got to bring your A game in justifying a new thing. And in this instance, it was sort of you'd felt that the impact wasn't as significant the second time out for people who recognize themselves primarily as manual therapists, of which there are two key groups, one of which are massage therapists and associated hands-on sports therapists, that is the majority of mainstay of what their patients come to expect of them and are paying for. And then there are others that are, say, physiotherapists, osteopaths, chiropractors, and others that have a more hands-on bent. And that's sort of something that's tied up in their identity, and that's the sort of education that they see. Now, that's where, interestingly, you felt that those people weren't necessarily, they were represented across the streams, but we didn't know where they would hang out. They didn't know what they would
Absolutely.
spend their time on.
Absolutely, Jack. We really totally felt that they were not engaged for their hands-on part of the practice. So that's why we wanted a stream to be the area, the place, the online space where we can have those discussions. And then just the cherry on the cake for me that just was fantastic when you announce the live presence in Bournemouth. What best? Because part of the aim of the stream was the bringing together all the disciplines that uses manual therapy. And what better physical environment and place the AECC in Bournemouth, where they
Yeah.
really are showing they are not only talking the talk, they're walking the walk. Where we Neil leverage to be in the head of the rehab section, they're really delivering what multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary care should be about. I am so excited. And
Yeah.
then, it's all happened at the same time. Roger Kerry, together with Steve Voggio, and Kenneth Young and Vasileius, they are osteopath chiropractors and physiotherapists. They also did they did a panel few months ago, and they are preparing a paper on interdisciplinary collaboration for new ways of teaching and practicing manual therapy. And this is the right time. They're asking those thinkers, those clinicians, those researchers are starting asking the right question for me, from my perspective.
Yeah, no, sometimes that's the thing. It all comes together at the right time. Then we've got to try and capitalize on that momentum.
Correct.
And it's another reason why it was persuasive. Really, is that we all know the historic sort of skepticism that Physio Matters and myself and everyone associated to us, yourself included, by the way, that we hold modalities and interventions to a high bar because we want them to clear it, because we want to be honest, we want to integrate these things, we want to be credible.
Correct.
And so when all those things come together, that it helps a momentum to actually then stand ahead of the nonsense that's out there that we all oppose. And so that's where we want to make sure that we give it every opportunity. And so I think this stream does that. Just to answer Bernadette's question here then, so the AECC in Bournemouth is the Anglo-European Chiropractic College. It's now a university college that just goes by the acronym and doesn't necessarily unpack that, because I think it's been around since the 50s or 60s and still carries that name. But yeah, AECC University College in Bournemouth, leading light MSK school of all stripes, really, but also then found that they have a firm history as a manual therapy training place, and really interesting that that's where we are on location for Therapy Live. So if you can join us in Bournemouth, you'll also then get to experience some more hands-on practical workshops. I'm just going to pull up the stream here, Anna. So if you could talk, right, you've got to lean to your left, and I'll lean to my right.
Okay.
Look, let's go over here. Can you see? Right. So
Yeah, I
we're
can.
going to
Can
talk
you?
about it. Right? Yeah. Move
Can
up a
you
bit
also?
more. Move up a bit more. I want to see
Uh,
all of you that way. Yeah. Right. So you're going to talk it through. Right. So
so,
talk me through
okay.
this stream.
I am so excited about this stream. Okay, so you need to stop me when I get on a little bit too much. So first of all, this is not going to be an echo chamber. This is going to be a stream where we will be discussing ideas, proposals, review papers, but also challenge manual therapy. So the George Esteves is representing his team. George Esteves and his team have released, is an osteopath, first of all, and have released they work. There are 6 papers in total in the last couple of years, and they all relate to touch and active inference. And the particular one that they're going to be discussing about is touch and therapeutic alliance. So the importance of the importance of therapeutic alliance in therapy, and how touch could be seen as a, let's say, try to find the right word, can stimulate therapeutic alliance. So within a model of active inference. So
Right.
that is going to be quite, that's going to be quite interesting. They're doing some really, really good work. So this is going to be quite not only neurocentric explanation, but there is quite a lot of psychology-led research behind it. Then we have Paul Cocker, which is a senior or a veteran of Therapy Live. And dear Paul is going to present this time a talk on vestibular assessment for people in pain. So it's again very neurocentric approach from Paul, but some strategies on how to improve pain, or improve or provide symptom modification through vestibular assessment and vestibular strategy. Then
and he'll be on location in Bournemouth with you all, won't he, as well? So
it's going to be not
good.
only
Always
location,
very practical.
Yeah, it's not going to be on your location, but actually it's going to be doing a workshops as well on top of the talk.
Oh, brilliant. Great.
Then, again, very excited. The next one is going to be the best one. It's me, Matt and Becky, online. We're going to be talking about muscle energy techniques, which are some techniques that we're very fond of to introduce movement into a usually static treatment like massage therapy, and the way we use MET, and we're going to be looking a little bit at the evidence behind it and how can we integrate it. And we're going to do a workshop, and in this workshop, this is going to be really interesting because the workshop is going to be shared between us and Rob Bevan, who is a chiropractor, again to show we really put together something quite interesting to show how we can collaborate and how we should be collaborating, to be honest.
Brilliant. No, sounds good.
Then we have Ovi. Ovi's gonna actually, Benoit gave me the idea for this talk and recommending me to go to Ovi. It's gonna be discussing about the use of shockwave, but beyond tendinopathy.
Right.
Actually, there are some really good research coming. There are some research coming out there, and that the use of shockwave beyond the usual use for tendinopathy. So look forward to that.
Because clinically, I've been hearing about its usage in like bodybuilders with DOMs and stuff that just want to go a bit sooner. Like, I'm always a little bit skeptical, or a lot skeptical of stuff like that, where you just think that I've heard that with ultrasound. I've heard people have been sold packages that is sort of recovery type stuff, even recovery massage. Obviously, you've spoken about at length, where it is a vulnerability in the industry that if you get your hands on or put a device on someone where the natural process of recovery is going to be very active. Like within that 48 hours, there's why would their body not change for the positive? Means that you get that confounding factor. So I know that Ovi will definitely tease some of those things out and explain as to what the control literature suggests, because obviously that's the tell, isn't it? You've got to have a decent control group to measure against. So I know that he'll be thorough in that regard.
And that links really well what Bernadette just said. She says she will be there being a session about placebo effect. Very important. We're talking about hands-on. There's not going to be a specific session about placebo effect. However, I do expect Chad Cook, where he's going to be talking about the mechanisms associated with manual therapy. He will be discussing that because it's a big, and the same Depano after with Roger Carey. Well, Roger Carey is not going to be there on the day, but Steve Vogel, Kenneth Young, and Basileus, they will be discussing that because, and a particular interest of mine, and there's going to be a question, that I'm going to ask about that, not only placebo effects, but contextual effects, non-specific effects, because we need to start differentiating those three. But also, one part of why we wanted to run this stream was also that should we start moving the discussion away from how does manual therapy has its effects, or should we change the discussion to see, or the question, why people feels better after manual therapy?
Gotcha.
And how can we foster that? So that for me is quite important.
Now, can you? I look like on my screen I've frozen. Can you see?
Yeah, you're frozen for me
I've
too.
Frozen,
yes,
but you can still hear me. Okay.
Absolutely loud and clear.
That's fine. No, you carry on. Then let me see if I can try and sort out my camera.
And so then we have a panel. This panel is really exciting for me. The panel with Steve Vogel, Kenneth Young, and Basileus, who are Steve is an osteopath, Kenneth is a chiropractor, and Basileus is a physiotherapist. And Roger Carey should have been in the panel, but unfortunately he's away on the day, but he's going to be running another session for us. This panel, they're going to be presenting their work, which will come out hopefully soon this year, on a new way of practicing and teaching manual therapy. So there is there kind of a proposing different ways how we can negotiate our education and provide up-to-date knowledge, and how actually can we do that in manual therapy education. So this is because it's challenging. You lack specificity, Jack. There is no specificity.
Absolutely. You can't. It's funny because I've had simultaneously, obviously, someone that I know and support his work as well. But Uzo has been in touch recently, and he's been talking a lot about how do we teach modern biomechanics and S&C without firm foundations on movement. Now that we know that normal's become a bit of a dirty word, and normal and neutral used to be used synonymously and stuff, and then now with manual therapy, it's like, how do we teach it when we can't be as tissue specific as we used to be? The implications of what we were doing with our hands has obviously matured, and we've understood that better. But then also, there has been a bit of nihilism in some quarters that have meant that then people aren't laying their hands, and that the privilege of being able to lay your hands in healthcare is something that was been taken for granted by some, and is a really important mode of communication. So how do we not only administer that, but how do we teach it, and what does that look like? How can we develop an appropriate consensus that moves us away from the nonsense, but also doesn't then distance us from an important tool?
Correct. And this is exactly the question that this panel is they try to answer. They're proposing something on the paper to answer these exact questions, with a lack of specificity in palpatory skills, with a lack of specificity in this case, manual therapy skills. How are we going to be teaching? And how can we differentiate then ourselves as practitioners. So this is going to be a very interesting discussion. For me, I've been doing it for several years now to teach hands-on with the right narrative, and it is, you have to. It's a change in mindset. It's a complete change in mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only way that we're going to be able to move people in this direction is to offer a sensible and compelling narrative that doesn't seek to dismiss what has been known effects, but also just helps to reconceptualize and helps people feel like it's compatible with not just their views, but the system of care that they're in, and helps them to come on this journey, because it's quite exposing, some of this stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you end up having to, it's not as defeating as sometimes people think. And I think that this whole stream so far is
it's liberating.
Yes.
It's not defeating, it's liberating. It's ages ago, I think it was last year, you wrote a fabulous tweet. And it's where we put the focus that is the problem. We are just putting, we always been putting the focus. People laugh when I say the word, the focus in a certain particular.
I do love it when you say. I was just about to say
everybody
that.
laughs about it. I cannot do it any differently. So
I have to bleep you out.
Part, the baby. And of the particular part, but actually it's just where we're putting it. We just need to start reintegrating what the BPS is, and touch onto that. Ben Cormack and Peter Stilwell and Joe Gibson, and there is another author which now it passed on to my mind, but they just released an amazing paper on and we misunderstood the BPS model. So that I think that really plays in what we're trying to showcase here. We just need to shift the focus away and to think what it's important. To me, it's not what manual therapy does, but how people and why people get better.
Now,
sorry.
Now put Helena Bridge.
Guys, if you don't follow Helena Bridge and the group of, she has a group called Osteopathy for Progress in Headaches and Migraine, you must follow. Helena Bridge is doing amazing work with the colleagues on treatment on migraine, assessment, treatment on migraine, and red flags, because I don't know you guys, but it's really difficult to differentiate. We need to pick up those red flags really
yes
quickly, especially hands-on.
I'm definitely looking forward to this session, because I haven't really, I think it's because I've seen fewer and fewer patients, although I was covering our friend Mark Reed recently, so I've seen a few patients last few weeks, which is the poor things. I've been a bit rusty and dusted that myself off, but I have seen less and less patients, therefore seen less and less headaches and less differential complex headache presentation stuff. But one of the things that I'm interested in is that whenever I encounter migraine in the literature and in the guidance and things, it always brings with it really interesting questions about mechanisms of effective interventions. So one of the first NICE guidelines that intersected with MSK, the very first one was a low back pain. Then we had a headache one that then meant that there were quality studies in there suggesting that touch and even acupuncture were having interesting effects on people's nervous system, muscle tone, that would then, like, what is it about that would have any difference, positive or negative, on something like migraine? It's because these things aren't, of course, disconnected. Now, in her game, the osteopaths sometimes go way out there with regards to sort of cranial sacral therapies and other things that of course are very, very challenging to prove, and also very sort of questionable in many ways in terms of the mechanism being purported. But the actual literature has demonstrated interesting effects, both in terms of assessment accuracy, as well as then helping those sorts of patients who, of course, it's a really disabling condition. And so something that, if you think about bang for the buck, what an opportunity it is for us to improve our skills in what is a very painful and disabling problem.
Absolutely, and she will bring in you will find quite a sensible approach to the treatment, to the assessment especially, and recognizes when there are red flags.
Great.
Especially for us, manual therapy, because often people, I don't know other massage therapies, but in massage therapy or soft tissue therapy, very often we get approached because of tension, headache. So we need those screening skills and the understanding of it. So she's amazing. Her work, her and her colleagues is amazing. And then we have Diane Jacobs. I don't know
a finale.
Yeah. So Diane has kind of has created, devised an approach to manual therapy. She called it thermoneuromodulation, but it's more of an explanation how touch works through the use of through the influence of cutaneous nerves. But Diane is going to be talking about Diane's approach, although some people might think it as a modality. It's not really. It's not how you apply the treatment. It's more about the concept around it's the concept around the treatment. So it's very it might sound very neurocentric, but actually it's a treatment within a biopsychosocial framework that looks at the person in a shared decision making, and is just reconceptualizes touch.
Right.
And so
I haven't looked at it for a while, actually. It's really interesting to see. And also it's interesting how I remember often talking about, when I heard some of her stuff before, about how the importance of kind touch on the periphery, not just on the central system. And she wasn't making overt distinctions, saying that those things can coexist and stuff. But I remember that, and it's something I haven't really engaged with for a while. So I'd be interested to look. Now, one of the things I've got now, mate, is when I remove this here, it now looks like we're trying to avoid each other. It's like
we probably are, Jack. Well, to be honest,
hiding at the other side of the screens. Go on.
Yes, let's not forget that we have a couple of others in our stream, which they have to be put in other streams as well, because there were too many people. Rob Bevan, again, another veteran of our of Therapy Live, and is going to be presenting on a modern approach to lower back pain from a modern chiropractor's perspective.
Yes, he'll be in the spinal stream with that one, but of course it's still well within this theme.
And Roger Kerry is because Roger is gonna be away. I'm so gutted. So he's gonna record complexity of manual therapy practice in a complexity in manual therapy practice, a dispositionalist approach. So
do you want to try that again? Focus.
Okay, let's start again. Okay, everybody stop. I will make it. Complexity in manual therapy practice. A dispositionalistic approach.
Brilliant. You did well with that.
Sorry, Roger.
That's definitely a toughie for sure. We can only take one question because we're out of time. I'm sorry we were slow, late. That was my fault, tech fault. But this is an interesting one from Bernadette that is right up our street. Why do you think that manual therapy is not specifically offered on the NHS? And I don't think I've ever asked you that question. Great question, Bernadette.
Yes, because when the resources are very limited for NHS, and those resources needs to be allocated to where it's more cost effective. And I know that there has been a paper recently that say manual therapy is cost effective, but I haven't looked at it I haven't looked at it properly. But manual therapy, as I understand it, is not as cost effective. And we don't want in the NHS manual therapy to distract away from other more active interventions.
It's tricky. I think
Is that right? I do not know yet.
yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it?
Mm,
My thoughts on it is that manual therapy as a form of pain relief. Let's just be reductive for a second.
yes.
It is interesting because we need to try and see how it would consistently outperform something like the pharmaceuticals. And that process, especially pharmaceuticals, because what is it? What would it be instead of? It wouldn't be necessarily be instead of. It could be a conduit to rehab, but specifically, it would be that it's being done so by, because that used to exist. There used to be sort of massage services, and in other places they have acupuncture services that are just for that, for
Yeah.
pain relief. Getting decommissioned in many places, but
this
go
is
on.
this
Sorry,
is
what are
the,
you going to say?
yeah, this is my point, Jack, that I do not see manual therapy as the intervention per se. I keep on saying I see it as the context in which the intervention takes place for some people. So I'd argue that if there is manual therapy for certain individuals, they will be there will be building a therapeutic, quicker building a therapeutic alliance. There is no research on it, but allow me that, I would love it to be seen. Quicker building a therapeutic alliance. Therefore, could there be better adherence? Could there be better adherence to the exercise prescription?
But
To
would
avoid
you say then, I'm right in understanding from your point of view, you would therefore want the person that is then laying hands to have a suite of other skills, and that then to disembody it from an MSK rehab service would be ineffective and inefficient, really, in your view?
It is. You cannot isolate it. You cannot. To me, in anything, to me, MSK care is MSK care. What we use in our MSK care skill set, it's in the encounter. It's totally depending between what the evidence tells us, what the client's preferences and values are, and what our clinical expertise is. For some people, and I am absolutely convinced of this, for some people, manual therapy is not where it should be. In fact, some people that they might want manual therapy, I don't think they should have it because of some of the yellow flags that might increase their dependencies on a passive treatment. But for some other individuals, there is the possibility. So it's up to the skill set of that musculoskeletal care practitioner. We need to reconceptualize what musculoskeletal care is. It's
Gotcha.
not only an intervention, it's the education, it's the advice, it's the support, it's the intervention, it's the
Well, the lifestyle change that can be initiated from that
Correct.
change of mindset.
Correct.
Danielle's made a really interesting point here. I would love the day to come where the NHS could suggest massage therapy to complement the NHS treatment. Now, I don't know. I'm reading that two ways because I kind of think I see what she means if there was like an overt suggestion, like a prescription type situation, like a social prescribing type thing. But that I can make sense of that as a thing that I've not heard of happening. But I know full well, having not long ago worked in the NHS, that there will be appropriate suggestion made for massage therapy or other anything. Often coming out of my mouth even now there's half a dozen things that if you know can make you feel better in this way, then there's no harm in doing it. You can pursue that elsewhere. So I imagine in some ways you could say that it is suggested elsewhere when the resources are such that it can't be done, but it wouldn't be necessarily done formally.
No, they cannot. It cannot be done formally anyway. There are so many caveats through NHS services that cannot be done formally. But what I was really disappointed at the chronic pain guidelines that came out 2021 in September, and ISRM, our association, was part, and yours as well. I think yours, Jack, as well. The MSK reform were part of the consultation process. Is that we proposed use of manual therapy, i.e. massage, for at least to be considered. They didn't accept, obviously, our proposal, but they accept acupuncture despite the review of the studies were all low qualities, the same low quality that massage therapy had. So I cannot understand why, some low quality
it's not
evidence
because
looked
it's
at.
not consistent.
That was a missed, again, another missed opportunities, not for us.
Yeah.
We try the proposal, but again, to bring in something that is, we know that has low qualities. So I didn't think that it was very well balanced.
No, exactly. We need that consistency, don't we? Or a better transparent
Yeah.
explanation as to why stuff like that happens. But
Yeah.
those arguments and more can be found on the hands-on
Yes.
healthcare. I struggle to say that. I struggle to say that. I need to focus.
You need to focus.
I will be seeing you all, I hope, on the 25th of June for Therapy Live. If you haven't
Come
got
down
your
to
tickets
Bournemouth.
yet, what are you doing? But yeah, if you want to attend in person, then we have 3 on location venues, and particularly for this stream, if this is your cup of tea, then you definitely want to get yourself to Bournemouth, in which Anna and team will look after you very well. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't be in Bournemouth. Now you asked me on Twitter, you said, have you decided where you're going, Jack? And I told you. Now you can tell me straight now, was that because you were hoping that I avoided you, or were you hoping for me to be there? Like, what was it? Let's be honest. Let's be fair.
No, I just was so interested to know where you were. No, absolutely. But when you said the series coming down to us,
You have a good party, won't you? I'll be honest. Me and you are always fun when we get together, but we'll just be chatting on, and I don't know if we won't get as much work done. So
Jack,
at least
what are
we
you
can
trying
hit
to
this.
say?
This way we won't distract each other. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate everyone for their comments and questions. Really appreciate it. Bernadette's asked, is there a patient ticket? Tickets, we don't have a specific or separate patient ticket, Bernadette, but you send me a message. I mean, we just need, all you'd need to, if you want to attend, Bernadette, then we need to just cover your sort of food and venue costs, really, which is a £25 supplement to attend. So if you want to attend in person, Bernadette, then just let us know. And from what I recall, you've contributed before to various different pieces of content we've done, Bernadette. So you can access Therapy Live for free as part of your premium membership. So if you want to attend virtually, then that's something you can do, and you'll already have that in your membership, Bernadette. If you want to come in person to Bournemouth, then we just need that supplement just to cover our costs. But otherwise, hopefully see you there and see many more of you there. So thanks a lot, Anna. Take care.
Thank you.
And we'll speak
Bye.
soon, mate. Take care. Bye.
Bye.